لم يكن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين منفكين حتى تأتيهم البينة.
A German Orientalist, a scholar of Islam, a non-Muslim scholar of Islam, and a critic of Islam, Nodeki, extensively wrote a criticism against the Quran in which he talked about the fact that the Quran gives senseless examples, irrational examples. And his paper was based on this example. His paper was actually based on this ayah from Surah Al-Hajj. The ayah says, حُنَفَاءَ لِلَّهِ غَيْرَ مُشْرِكِينَ بِهِ, people that are solely dedicated to Allah while they don't do any shirk with Him. وَمَنْ يُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ, and whoever would commit the crime of shirk with Allah, whoever would associate anybody else with Allah, فَكَأَنَّمَا خَرَّ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ, then it is as though he fell from the sky. So the guy who does the crime of blasphemy with God, associates someone with Allah, is compared to someone who is falling from the sky. Nodeki says that doesn't make any sense. Nobody ever falls from the sky. An example is supposed to be relatable. Who can relate to someone falling from space? Then he says, the Quran says, فَتَخَطَّفُهُ الطَّيْرِ, then birds are chewing on him. He's falling from the sky, and then birds are coming and they're eating from him while he's falling from the sky. That makes even less sense. What kind of birds are these that are eating a guy as he's falling from the sky? This is the weirdest scene ever. فَتَخَطَّفُهُ الطَّيْرِ. Then on top of that, the ayah ends, أَوْ تَهْوِي بِهِ الرِّيحِ فِي مَكَانٍ سَحِيقٍ, or finally, the wind blows him away to an uncharted location. He says if you're falling from the sky, whether you fall somewhere unknown in the middle of the woods, in the middle of the jungle, you fall on top of a mountain, or you fall in the middle of Times Square in New York City, what difference does it make? You're dead. It doesn't make any sense. And he wrote this very convincing paper about how the example of the Quran is impossible to relate to. It's difficult to relate to. The problem here is there's a lack of appreciation of verbal idioms, of expressions of the Arabic language. I'm going to give you a little bit of a picture. This ayah is about people who do shirk. Yes? People who do shirk in Makkah, they had no concept of afterlife. A lot of them did not believe in another life. This is the only life. This is the only life. Let me tell you something else about the people who do shirk in Arabia at the time. Not only did they believe this is the only life, when you believe this is the only life, then what is going to be left of you after you're gone? Think about that. What of you is left after you're gone? Your children? Maybe your name, your memory, your legacy, right? If you don't believe in an afterlife, human beings have a desire to live on. You know that? Inherently, we have a desire to live on. So if you don't believe in Jannah and Jahannam and Qiyamah, you don't believe in any of that stuff, then you know what you say to yourself? I need to figure out a way to live on. So what do people do when they don't believe in an afterlife? They decide that they're going to do something that will force people to remember their name. So nowadays you'll have people that are very wealthy and they're 99 years old and they're about to die and they donate all of their wealth to a hospital. They were cheap their entire life. They kept millions to themselves that they never spent. But as soon as they're about to die, they give the whole thing to charity, like it's a really generous thing to do. Generous? You weren't going to have it. You're dead. But they give it, why? Because they put a condition. If I give this to this hospital, you have to build a statue of me at the entrance of the hospital that says the really old dead guy College of Medicine. Why do they do this? They need their name to live on. There's a desire for a human being to become immortal. And actually, Allah put that desire in us because He wants us to earn Jannah. That's inside of us, to want to earn His paradise. But anyway, let's go back to the mushrik. The mushrik back in the day is not going to give millions of dollars in donation and get his monument made. How did he live on forever? He lived on forever because for the Arabs, you know that they used to love going into fights, right? Battles. And so he wants to live on by the legend of his fight skills. He's big on fight skills. Now let's paint this picture. There are two tribes that are going into battle. One tribe is on top of the mountain, the other tribe is at the bottom of the mountain. Who's got the military advantage? People on top. The people at the bottom, even though the people on top had the advantage, the people on the bottom climbed up all the way to the top of the mountain, defeated the tribe at the top of the mountain, and not only did they defeat them, they threw their dead bodies off the cliff as an added humiliation. And the other scenario is that the people on top of the cliff, they were so scared to fight the guys at the bottom, though they had to pick, should I die at the hand of my enemy or should I just jump off the cliff? And they decided to jump off the cliff. When the Arabs died a death because they were no good at fighting or because they were cowards, then they used to say he fell from the sky. They used to say what? He fell from the sky. Meaning he died the death of a loser or he died the death of a coward. And the worst thing, the worst, most humiliating thing the mushrik could ever hear about his father or about his grandfather or about his son is, you're that guy's dad? Or the guy who fell from the sky? The worst humiliation for him. Because understand, shirk is humiliating. It's a humiliating thing to do shirk. But the mushrikun don't understand what the humiliation of Judgment Day will look like. They don't believe in it. So they have to be given a picture that they can relate to. So Allah gave them a picture they can relate to. What's the closest thing to humiliation they can relate to? The association of someone falling from the sky. Now in a battle, when somebody falls from the cliff, which is what they call falling from the sky, when somebody falls from a cliff, his dead body is at the bottom, mangled and broken up and bloodied. What happens at the end of ancient battles? Your own people come, they collect your body and they give it a proper burial. Isn't that the case? But these dead soldiers, these dead warriors are such an embarrassment to their own people that nobody came to bury them. Nobody came. Their own people disowned them. So their funeral service was not offered by their own tribes. Their funeral service was offered by certain birds. What kinds of birds are we talking about? Vultures. Birds are chewing on their corpse. And these birds are known for eating disgusting things, isn't it? But even these birds, after a while of eating from them, say, the rest of that is way too dirty even for me. I don't even want it. And they fly away. What comes next? Winds come. And the little scum that's left of these people is blown off to uncharted locations. Humiliation of falling from the sky, humiliation of vultures eating off of your corpse, and the humiliation of your flesh and bones being scattered on the earth to unknown places. For the Arab who didn't believe in an afterlife, the only thing he wanted was, at least people will respect me after I'm gone. The worst thing he could imagine has been described. An example is supposed to be direct, it's supposed to be relatable. What we are learning here is that it was directly relatable to the Arabs. And once we understand that principle, we understand that we want to give examples to people and help things become understandable for people. We have to give relatable examples, which means we have to understand the culture in which we live or the culture that we are giving da'wah to.